about MITRE. Then comes 1.2, which is apply MITRE tactics and techniques with Falcon to provide context to a detection. So inside Falcon console, you will see it. Now, all of you, please log into the console. Is everyone logged in? Okay. All right. Now over here in the console, this is the home page of the console, which by default comes with dashboard, activity dashboard, wherein you see the current activity with respect to CrowdStrike security, wherein it shows the current crowd score is 33 out of 100. It shows new detections that have been now for all of these, they are known as widgets in the dashboard terminology. They are known as widgets, which could be a square or rectangular boxes. And these boxes are bringing certain information. They are showing you certain information, which is good to go for you. Now it shows new detections, 1093. It shows SHA-based detections. It shows prevented malware by host. It shows additional information. You can create your own custom dashboard. You can use this dashboard, clone this dashboard and add additional information. All capabilities are available. We'll talk about dashboarding in SIEM also. When we do SIEM, we'll talk about dashboarding there also. Okay. So when we navigate to, when we click on these three horizontal line, click on endpoint security, it further expands. And then under endpoint security, you basically see endpoint detections. So when you navigate to endpoint detections, it basically shows you all the detections which are there, which all the malicious activities, executions, deviations that has been recorded by Crowd. So you see all the detections here. Now, since your access is restricted to a specific host group, which means you may have a specific host, that host generated detections, you will only be able to see those detections there. So I see all of these detections here. Now, right now the detections are aggregated. Aggregated basically means detections which has some common field, which means detection related to the same host, detection related to the same user, detection related to the same IP address, detection which is related to the same file hashes, or detection which has some similarity. They all are combined into one. So that is the reason you will see certain detections here. So I see a detection for today's also, and this detection is on Puja system. So there is a host with the name puja-demo-ec2. And on this host, I see a detection which is related to some ransomware attack. Because I know the process, which is monkey-windows-64.exe, is a known ransomware attack. So it's a ransomware attack related detections. Now, from the MITRE perspective, what you want to see here is the first is tactic wire technique. That's what I want to bring your notice here, which is tactic wire technique. You will see this headline everywhere. First, let me just turn off the aggregation so that you see all the detections separately. Now you see all separate detections here. So you can see all of these detections. For example, if you look at the host name is same, which is puja-demo. And you will see today's date, and you will see this detection time also. So you will see 1029, 1029, 1030. And over here, you will see the host name is same, which is Puja's host name. So what it is doing, since all of these detections have something different, it may have a different IP address, different host name, different process, different tactics and technique. That is why you will see them as separate detections. And if I just toggle this radio button, if I turn it on, it will combine multiple detections of similar nature into one. Right? Now, over here, what you need to focus is tactic wire technique. So these are tactic wire technique, and you will be able to see this information in MITRE framework also. For example, you can see impact via data encrypted for impact. So here some encryption is happening, and you already know that the job of a ransomware is to encrypt critical files or critical data on a victim system and then demand money in return of decrypting it, in return to provide access. So you can see here in this type of detections, what is the tactic and technique which is getting used? The tactic is impact. You can see all impact, and inside impact, it is encryption. So if we navigate back to the MITRE framework, you will see the tactic is impact, which is the last one on the right hand side. And inside impact, what technique it is using is encryption. So over here, it says data encrypted for impact. So they're trying to impact the victim. They're trying to impact the system by encrypting the data. When they encrypt the data, the critical files, critical applications on that system will be affected. That may affect business. So it is creating an impact. And how that impact is getting created, what techniques are they following, how are they impacting it? They're impacting it by encrypting it. So that's exactly what it says. Tactic is impact and technique is data encryption. Let's go back to the console. So impact via data encrypted for impact. Is it making sense to everyone that how CrowdStrike is mapping each detection with MITRE framework?
Yep.
Yes, no? Okay. Next, command and control. Application layer. Next is command and control. So command and control is another tactic. And inside that tactic, the technique is application layer. So what is happening as part of this ransomware simulation, which Pooja probably performed this morning, as part of this simulation, she has enabled all types of all types of options which are there on Monkey Island website. There are different types of attacks. So she has actually enabled all of them, executed all of them, and they have their different method of tactics and technique. So this is another, which is command and control application layer protocol. So if we go back to the MITRE framework, we'll see command and control, and here we'll see application layer protocol. So this is the one which is happening here. If I just scroll down, you will see one more, which is AI powered IOA via malicious files. So now this is another AI powered IOA, AI powered indicator of attack. So this is another tactic which is here. So how this is coming, basically, when it says AI powered, as CrowdStrike has its own machine learning capability through which it is able to identify the threats. So it is bringing that threat from here. Its machine learning capability, which is AI powered capability, is able to identify this, that it's a known ransomware, though it's a known ransomware for delivering training sessions or performing penetration testing. So if you want to, if you want to identify or if you want to validate the capability of your existing EDR solution, whether it can handle ransomware attack or not, you can perform this simulation. And if your EDR solution is able to detect, contain, and remediate this execution, it means it has the capability to handle ransomware attack, known ransomware attack. So this is another tactic which is they are using, which is AI powered IOA via malicious file. So that file that you downloaded, which is monkey hyphen windows hyphen 64.exe, which you are downloading from Akamai website, it's a ransomware file, and then it says it's a malicious file and it's an AI powered IO. So that is where, so on the main detection page itself, you're able to see all the tactics and techniques, right? So that is coming from MITRE framework, and you will see it different for different types of attack. Since we have just now it only shows 20 detections on one page. I will also aggregate it now so that I can show you more tactics and techniques. Okay. Next, now it says another tactics, which is custom intelligence via indicator of compromise. Now that's not MITRE, that's internal to CrowdStrike, which is, you know that we have the capability of IOC. So when you go to endpoint security, underneath you see the option of IOC management. Over here, you can identify, you can configure a file hash, an IP address or domain, and you can have them blocked for execution on endpoints. So whenever let's say you configured any desk here, you consider any desk as a uh, malicious website or portal that has been involved in various remote execution attack or financial frauds, and you don't want your endpoints to be able to access that URL to be able to execute that application. So in that case, you can add it to IOC management. And after you add it to IOC management, if there is any endpoint which is reported, which tries to communicate with this website, which tries to execute this application, which is anytest.exe, the Falcon sensor will be quick to identify that on execute operations, and it will block it then and there and generate a detection. And that's exactly what you see here. So this tactic and technique is internal to CrowdStrike. It has nothing to do with MITRE. That's the reason it says it's custom intelligence. It's custom configuration that has been done by the administrator. And what is the technique here is indicator of compromise. So there is some type of application or executable which is trying to get executed in the console. So that's what it is trying to do. Give me a minute. Okay. So you can see additional information here. Uh, Let me see if I can show you some more. Okay, over here, one more, which is machine learning via cloud-based ML. So how CrowdStrike was able to capture this detection, which is infection monkey, because it's machine learning, it's AI technology knows that it's a known ransomware attack. So it says machine learning via cloud-based ML. CrowdStrike cloud-based machine learning capability was able to create this detection. Similarly, let's move on. If I can show you more. See, since this is a training environment, obviously you will not see all tactics and techniques here. You will only see what you have executed, what you have simulated. So since we have done certain simulations, you will see those tactics and techniques accordingly. However, if you have access to a production environment, if your employer is using CrowdStrike and you have access to CrowdStrike console, you can probably log into that console, and on the detections tab, on the detections dashboard, you can navigate to this specific column, which is attribute column. And on the attribute column, you will be able to see all those tactics and techniques, different types of tactics and techniques. Some are aligned with MITRE, some are internal or custom to CrowdStrike capability, security capability only. Is everyone with me on this? Any questions so far from any participant on tactics and techniques? Stephen, Pooja? Okay, let's move on. All right, so this is where you will see tactics and techniques. As I said, I've just shown you. So it says process anytest.exe. What was the command? Anytos.exe was the command. Who executed that command? User. Which host on which that command was executed? What is the severity? Severity depending on custom IOA rules. Since this is an indicator of compromise, When you've configured file hash for any desk.exe, you've selected the severity also. So basis on what severity you selected, it will pick up that information. Activity type, it's remote access execution. This is coming from MITRE framework. So that's information you see. Now, how do you apply? So you don't need to manually apply it now. As I said, in the past, you would be required to provide manual mapping to MITRE framework. But nowadays, CrowdStrike or any EDR solution does it by itself. It automatically does it. So you don't need to bother about it. Okay, these are the tactics and the why of an attack, which is the tactics part. And then the purpose, basically why they are doing it. So you see all tactics and you see one line instructions against it. You don't need to remember this, but when you come across these terminologies, if somebody says lateral movement, you should be quick to visualize what the other person is talking about or what could be happening in the backend. What is lateral movement? How lateral movement is defined, or what happens in case of a lateral movement tactic. In case of a cyber attack which involves lateral movement, what could be the repercussions of it? That's what you need to understand, right? So what is lateral movement? It is spreading a malicious payload or malicious malware, ransomware across systems within the network. How do you prohibit or how do you control lateral movement? Any participant who can talk about it. So if you foresee lateral movement, if your security solutions tells you that there's a lateral movement activity which is happening, how do you stop that activity?
I think it's to isolate
Yes,
the
Charles.
device from the network.
I could not hear it. Did others hear what Charles just said? Charles, can you repeat that once again? How can we stop lateral movement?
I think it's to isolate the device or the device from the network immediately.
Mhm. So we can network contain that device, right? We can disconnect that device from the network if we suspect any lateral movement attack. And this activity must be done quickly. If there is a delay in this action, if you delay the action, you would not be able to fix it. You would not be able to remove that lateral movement from all the devices, because if it has already reached to certain devices, it's point of no return. Then you will need to further investigate. But if you can identify the source of truth, where the malicious payload is, you can probably network contain or disconnect that victim host or that host or that endpoint from the network so that you can stop lateral movement from that moment onward, and then later on perform a full scan on all the affected devices to identify the areas where that malicious payload could be present. So it's a step, it's an intermediary step that we basically take. Can somebody explain what is command and control? Any participant?
That host machines are talking to the external server.
Okay, and who does that external server belong to?
The adversary's malicious actor.
Malicious actor. Absolutely. Yes, that's command and control. In short, we call it C2 also. If somebody says C2, if somebody says command and control. Now, Naveen, further question. So that external system belongs to the malicious actor. What you
Mhm.
would do is part of remediation. If you've identified that
Mhm.
specific detection or this specific incident
Mhm.
involves a malware which is trying to literally move or spread to other systems and is receiving instructions from a C2 server, what would be
Uh,
your approach?
so I would take the IP address and sending to the firewall team because it's coordinated task with the IT. We will send the IP to firewall team, block it, and if it is spreading internally, I will try to isolate the machine first and inform the business owner, the server owner.
Absolutely. However, if you
Raghu, there
get
are
information,
other ways.
yes,
Raghu,
Rohit.
So we can also add that IP into firewall list, which will block the any communication going out or
Absolutely. I'm
domain.
coming up to that part. So Naveen, as you said, you will coordinate with firewall team, which is network security team, which is a separate team completely, right? Which
Mhm.
basically means you will either pick up the phone, call the network security team number, or you will drop a service request. Probably you will use an ITSM solution. There you will create a service request for firewall team to have that specific IP address blocked. But then it's an active incident. It is doing lateral movement. So you cannot wait. And that is where, as Rohit has rightly said, any EDR solution will provide you a capability to block that IP address then and there. So what you can do, we have a firewall policy. That firewall
Mhm.
policy is applicable on all the endpoints which are onboarded into CrowdStrike. Let's say your organization has 100% endpoints onboarded into CrowdStrike. So what you would do instead of, I'm saying that activity you also need to do simultaneously. I'm not denying the fact that you will not need to coordinate with network security team and have that IP address blocked in the firewall, the perimeter firewall or the DMZ firewall. That will be done also. But as a as a as a a quick measure, what you will do, you will click on endpoint security, and over here you have firewall policy. So you'll click on firewall policy and quickly create a policy to have that IP address blocked for both incoming and outgoing traffic with immediate effect on all the endpoints which are onboarded into CrowdStrike. And then
Okay.
simultaneously opening a service request to network security team to have that IP address also blocked on the perimeter or DMZ firewall. Because this activity, this firewall policy is only applicable to endpoints which are onboarded into CrowdStrike. What about endpoints which are not in CrowdStrike? What about non-production environment? What about testing environment, pre-prod environment? There's a high probability. See, every endpoint that you onboard into CrowdStrike has a cost associated with it. There is an endpoint license that you are paying for. What if you have certain test endpoints into your environment which are not onboarded into CrowdStrike? However, those test endpoints have access to production. So the malware through lateral movement from those test environments can spread to production also. So that is where you will have network containment as well as blocking that IP address, the C2 server IP address at the perimeter firewall or DMZ firewall. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is for all the participant guys. Remember, every minute capability of CrowdStrike with respect to endpoint security was discussed in CCFA course. I discussed that in detail. You need to make sure that you remember it. As part of incident investigation and remediation, your first step is to leverage that capability. And as a second step, you will then collaborate with external security teams, application security team, database security team, firewall team, GRC team, or any other team to have additional remediation done. But your first point of contact should be CrowdStrike itself. Okay. So in the same example, we have a malware. A malware has a corresponding executable. That executable has a corresponding file hash. So what we are doing, we are adding that file hash to IOC management. Since there is an IP address which is also reported by CrowdStrike under detection, which belongs to a C2 server, for that IP address, we are creating a firewall policy. So we are creating a firewall policy for C2 server, and we are creating an IOC for malicious payload or malware. That way we are managing the show. Hope that is clear to everyone. Okay, coming back to this. Okay, then comes persistence. So we all know what persistence is. Persistence is a technique, a tactic through which a threat actor will try to maintain access to the system, continuous access to the system. So, Sujit, I'm saying you don't have to be 100% accurate, guys. Since this is a training session, you can always you can also be inaccurate or 100% incorrect in your approach. And that is where you get an opportunity to learn the right method. So Sujit, uh, so if I tell you that on your system, there is a malware which is not getting discovered by the existing anti-malware solution, antivirus solution, or EDR solution, but I'm telling you there is a malware, it means it's a persistence method. How will you tackle that?
Uh, I mean, I will turn off the Wi-Fi of my laptop if you say so.
Okay, you turn off the laptop, Wi-Fi, which means you network contain, you disconnect it from the active network. Good.
Correct.
Connected it. Next.
I mean, I'll make sure that if I know, and if you have said that there's a malware attack, I'll make sure that I will not log. I will not access critical websites on my laptop. Say, for example, I would not access the banking websites through my laptop since I know it's already affected. Maybe clear the browsing history and everything.
But you've already disconnected from the network. After disconnecting it from the network, let's not even talk about browsing anything. You can't browse when it is disconnected from the network. Am I making sense?
Yes. Maybe then use the laptop option of like full scan or something. I mean, the Windows scanning thing.
Right. So the approach is, now this is for everyone. Though I have told you that the existing security solution was not able to discover this payload, discover this malware. Why it was not able to discover this malware? Because by default, any existing security solution, it performs a quick scan of the system. It doesn't perform a full scan. So since you suspect your system to have a malware or a persistence attack on it, you will run a full scan. You will run a full scan from the security solution, and the full scan will navigate through each and every file and folder, which includes system folder, which includes registry, which includes root folder, and look for any malicious file, any file with unknown extension, any file or any process that must not be there but is present, and it will identify it. Because that's what you can do at the end of the day. There are, I'm saying, if you look into a Windows system, and if you look into the C directory, there are a minimum of 6 folders: program and files, C Windows, system 32, root, inetpub folder. If it contains, depending on the type of role that has been installed on that server, it contains different directories and folders. It is not viable or possible for you to go into each and every directory, read each and every file, and identify whether it is legitimate or not. That won't be possible for you. It will probably take a couple of days to a couple of months. And when it comes to an attack, the time to resolve is very critical. What if you're able to resolve a ransomware attack in 1 month? Then it is of no use. 1 month your system was down. You will probably not get 1 month. I still remember there was a ransomware attack on All India Institute of Medical Science, AIMS website, which happened in the year 2023. That attack completely brought the entire portal down. And because of that, the impact was quite severe. They were not able to run operations at all. They were not able to run OPDs. They were not able to probably perform scheduled operations and other activities. And in the end, they had to surrender. They had to pay ransom to that threat actor group that was state sponsored to gain access to those files. And later on, they did remediation activities through certain, because I was part of that activity. So I know the entire backend story. So sometimes time is of the essence. You don't have all the time in this world to spend to contain or to resolve an incident. So you need to be very quick. So in this case, coming back to persistence, the right method, as Sujit has suggested, the first thing is to network contain. Because if it's a persistence attack, probably that attack is able to communicate, I'm saying that malicious payload is hosted on one system, and from that system through network, because that system is part of that network, through that system it is able to capture crucial information. What if it's a keylogger? What if it's a spyware? What if it's a, it's a ransomware? It has the capability to perform some malicious operations. So the first thing that you would do is to disconnect that host or that affected system from the network. That's the first thing that you need to do. And the second thing is to run a full scan from a security solution. When you run the full scan, you will be able to identify the traces of it. Now, if you're not able to identify the traces of it, then you probably need to format and reinstall. That's the last method. I have seen situations wherein a security solution is not able to detect persistence. And since it is not able to detect persistence, they have no option but to format and reinstall the system all over again. Because the system, if it's a production environment, they already have a backup of that system. So they will format the system and restore the system from the backup. This happens in case of persistence in the worst case scenario where the security solution is not able to discover the persistence even after you run full scan a number of times. Is everyone with me on this? Okay, great. So this is where you need to spend time, guys. As I said, MITRE, framework is very crucial.
Here, Raghu,
Yeah.
this is Rohit.
Yes.
Can I add one technique to detect persistence?
Yeah, absolutely.
So team, when there is a persistence, for example, CrowdStrike create persistence. So there is always a backdoor beacon that will get established. And there are 74 types of beacon for the CrowdStrike. But the most common or the best way to detect is from the systems. There is a pattern that will get established to any IP, which will be a known IP, for example, hosted on AWS or Azure or something. But there will be a sleep period. Now, sleep period is the best way you can detect the persistence.
Yep, absolutely. Depending on the type of persistence. So you're absolutely right, Rohit. That is one of the methods that we can do. See, at the end of the day, other than running a full scan, you will also need to look at other variables. As I said, the variables could be the presence of any unknown process or activity or any pattern that you can identify or the system can identify, because nowadays security solution have the capability to create a pattern based analysis, UEBA analysis. So if you can identify a specific pattern, if you can identify the presence of a specific specific communication, which is either incoming communication or outgoing communication to a specific IP address or a domain. So it basically calls for deep dive investigation. Yes, Girish, any question?
Raghu, like, even if we quarantine the device in CrowdStrike, are we able to perform the scan at the full capacity because we are isolating the device here?
Absolutely. You can perform a full scan. You can network contain the device from the console itself. Most of the activities you can perform from the console itself. Also, if it requires you to remotely connect to that device and then perform some or probably kill some process, initiate a new process, probably upload something on the device and then execute it, those all activities are possible from the console itself.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So we'll talk about it when we get into the investigation part. Okay. So that was on the MITRE framework that you need to be aware. So that was the first module, which is module 1, which is on MITRE framework, the significance of MITRE framework and how CrowdStrike Falcon Prevent module. So this is Falcon Prevent module that we're talking about now. How Falcon, so detect module we are done. Detect is CCFA, prevent is CCFR. So how Falcon Prevent module aligns with MITRE framework, and with this alignment in place, it is able to provide against each detection the corresponding tactic, technique, and procedure information. And you also have, you also have the integration with MITRE. So when you click on it, it provides you additional information. For example, if I navigate to detection once again, if I pick any detection which is related to MITRE framework, For example, let's say, let me just turn off the aggregation for a moment. Okay, for example, this command and control tactic. So when I click on this detection, if I navigate to this detection, hit load. So I'm on this detection here. Now here it says tactics and technique, which is command and control via application layer protocol. When I click on this command and control, it will redirect me to MITRE. There it provides me additional information also. So here it shows you. So it basically redirects you to CrowdStrike documentation now, where it shows you additional information, command and control, tactic description. Now, this information is directly coming from MITRE website. It is not that this information is coming from MITRE website. However, CrowdStrike has tried to simplify the information, and it has also added some additional information here in this table. So earlier, what CrowdStrike would do, it would directly redirect you to MITRE. But let me see if it redirecting me to MITRE now. No, it is redirecting you to the documentation now. Instead of redirecting you to MITRE website, it is redirecting you to the documentation. Earlier, it would redirect you to MITRE also. If I go to details view, let me see if it still redirects you to MITRE. No. So this is the update in the console. There, because on MITRE, the information could be a bit difficult to absorb or to digest. It may contain difficult keywords or technical jargons. What they have tried to do, they have tried to simplify it. So now when you click on those hyperlink, it will redirect you to CrowdStrike documentation, which contains this information in a much detailed and simpler mode. Yeah, that's what it is doing. So this is a change in the system that I'm noticing. However, it shows you technique ID, which is T1071. This is the technique ID. Now this is coming from MITRE directly. So if I go to MITRE website, and search for this specific technique, you can see here it says application layer protocol technique T1071. Now, if I click here, it will take me to description of this technique. It will show you additional sub techniques which are part of this technique. So that's how it redirects you to MITRE. So now it doesn't have direct redirection to MITRE. However, it provides the corresponding technique ID. Why this is important? Because when you close this incident, when you summarize this incident and send it to your executives, or when you record it for historical purpose audit perspective, and if this customer happens to be a business in North America, by compliance, by standards, they are required to have every security incident mapped to MITRE. That's the requirement. Okay, so that's on the MITRE part that you need to understand. Rest we will cover as we move along. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is detection analysis. Okay, now before we get into detection analysis, can I have an acknowledgement from each and every participant that you are able to see at least one detection corresponding to your host? Please raise your hands. If you are able to see at least one detection under detections tab on CrowdStrike console, under detections tab, you're able to see at least one detection corresponding to your host. Stephen? Naveen, Rohit, Sharath, Girish?
Yes, I'm able to see it.
Okay. At least one detection you should be able to see, guys. for this module to get started. Great. Let's get started. So now we are into detection analysis, which is analyzing the detection. How to analyze the detection? What is the approach to analyze the detection? What should be your first step? What should be your last step? That's what this module is all about. So the first module is, or the first topic is, recommend course of action based on analysis of information provided with Falcon. Since I'm aligning this training to certification, because at the end of this training, since this is co-sponsored by CrowdStrike also, we have to go as per the official curriculum, updated curriculum. However, once we are done with this, I'll give you a summary of it, wherein I'll pick up one detection and show you end-to-end investigation, remediation, triage, the event search, process timeline, device timeline part also, that if you are acting as a security analyst or SOC engineer, what should be the approach, sequence of steps that you should follow to investigate, remediate, triage, to triage, investigate, respond, and remediate to an incident. Okay. So course of action based on analysis information provided with Falcon. Now, when you navigate to detections tab, I'm back to detections tab now. I'm back to detections tab. On this detections tab, I see detections. First of all, let's see how do we navigate to this tab, what all options are available. Because in a production environment, you will not see 1, 2, 10, 100,000. You may end up seeing thousands of detections. Probably for a single day, for the last couple of hours, there are hundreds of detections. So how do you, first of all, pick up that detection? What should be your approach? So the approach is directly corresponding to the severity. That's what you need to remember. So over here, if you see here, it says a total of 1097 results are there. These are the total number of detections that I see here, right? Then it says search detections. Here you can search for detections. If you want to search for a specific detection, you can search for it here also. You can put some keywords. If those keywords are present in that detection, it will filter those detections. For example, if I want to search for detections which are related to anydesk.exe, I will type anydesk.exe and hit apply. What it will do, it will search for any detection that has anydesk.exe as part of its body, detection body, and it will filter all of them here. So I will be quicker to focus on something. As part of my job role and responsibilities, I will be quicker to focus on areas that are most important to me. So over here, you can see now it has searched for all the detections which has anydesk.exe in it. And these detections are across multiple systems. You can see anydesk.exe on Steven's system, Farhan's system, this VM demo system, probably it belongs to Syed. Then there is one on Manish. I also have one on SID. This belongs to I don't know whom. Siddharth. Then we have a couple of. Right now, it only showing 20. I'll say let's show 200. Now I'll see 200 entries here belonging to the same keyword that I've searched for across multiple endpoints. Joydeep, Rakesh, Charles, I see across multiple endpoints. So this is how we search for detections, right? Now, not only the keyword, you can type an IP address, you can type a file hash, you can type anything here. Whatever you type, it will show you the corresponding results against it, right? So that's search detections. You can search detections based on host also. Let's say I want to search detection for a specific host, all detections for a specific host. There are two ways to do it. Either I'll navigate to that specific host. So under host management, I'll navigate to host management. Here I'll pick up that host and see all corresponding detections against that host. That is one way of doing it. Or in the detections tab, I can also search for it. So let's say this is one host, which is Asif B demo. I can click here, and here I can see a lot of information about this host, disable detections, all the information related to this host. So I'll navigate to this host, and here I can see all the detections corresponding to this host. Basically, I need to click here so that I can see the details of this host, and then I can see the detections corresponding to this host. This is one way of doing it. The right method, because sometimes what happens in the operations team, you will not have access to host management. In large enterprises, they follow role-based access control, wherein you will only have access to areas that are critical to you. So we'll go to detections here. And if I want to search detections across a host, I can also do that. So these are all the detections. Let's say I want to search detections across a specific host. I can type the host name, which is Puja hyphen demo, and hit apply. Now this is not the complete host name. I provided the few strings, but it is able to identify that. So you can see the complete host name is puja-demo-ec2. But since I've typed the first few letters of that host, it summarizes all the detections against this host. You can see all the detections are related to Puja now. So you can search for detections based on host name, based on file, based on IP address, based on different parameters, based on process, based on different parameters, you can search for it. Is everyone with me on this?
Yes.
Okay. Next is additional filters which are there. So next filter is severity. I can search if I want to search for all the detections. Now this you will find in SOC team or in security team centers, wherein some uh, based on your role. For example, subject matter experts, L3 resources, they're responsible for picking up high severity detections. L1 resources are probably responsible for picking up medium or low severity detections or working on them. So you can also filter detections based on severity. So if I want to see all the detections which are critical in nature, which has the potential to cause disruption in my production environment, I can have all of them filtered here. Now, these are all critical severity detections that you see. These are all critical severity detections. So I can filter the detections based on severity also, right? So this is severity, critical, high, medium, low. I can select multiple checkboxes at the same time. It's not that I can select only one. Let's say I want to filter all high and medium. I can hit apply and it will show me all high and medium detections. So it shows all high and medium detections. Right now it shows all high because total there are a total of 940 results, and I can see a maximum of 200 results only. So how will I ensure that I see the medium one also? That is where I can click on this severity over here. You see this arrow, up arrow and down arrow. So click on up and down arrow, it will filter also. So now I'll see all medium and then high like this. You can see I can see all medium now, and then probably rest of them are high. So I can use these filters and show up and down when you have multiple results. This is very important. Uh, Once you have knowledge of each and every option on the console, you will be quicker in your approach to investigate and respond. Next is time. I can also filter based on time. So you can see last day, last hour, last 2 days. You can see the time range also. Now the question is that if I have not selected any time range, then these detections which it is showing 1097, are these detections for the last 90 days, last 6 months, last 1 year, last 10 years? What is the time range that CrowdStrike is by default picking up to show you those detections? Any participant?
Days,
How many days? Anurag?
90 days, 90 days.
Last 90 days? Any other participant?
Maybe it's based on the retention policy. I
Okay.
don't know, but yeah.
Any other participant? Okay. The answer it is showing you all the detections that are currently available in the console based on the retention policy. Naveen is absolutely right. Based on the retention policy. What is the retention policy that we have here in this console? Where can we see that information? Any participant?
In general settings, but I forget the path, but
Okay, so for that you
somewhere
can,
in the general
here you see general settings.
yeah. I'm not sure that's the right path, but
Okay, so that's an assignment for all of you. Find this information and tell me tomorrow what is the current retention setting configured for this account. You all have admin access. You can find this information. Okay, moving on. So it shows you, so you can see the detections based on the parameters also. You can provide a date range. You can provide last 90 days, greater than 90 days. All of this information is available. Then this is another important area. While it shows detections, it shows all the detections which are either recently discovered, which are currently in work in progress, as well as detections which are closed. And that is why we have 1097, because out of 1097, 1095 are new, which has not been acted upon yet, and 2 are closed. So in a production environment, you will have detections with all the dispositions. You will have new, in progress, and closed. So while working in the production environment, you can probably have this filter. You can always look for new detections. New detections, and then you can also select the time frame. You can have multiple filters working simultaneously. That's the beauty of CrowdStrike. So I want to see all new detections in the last day, which is last 24 hours. So it shows me all new detections in the last 24 hours. And I want to see all new detections in the last 24 hours with critical severity, critical and high severity. So I can apply this filter also. So that way you will be able to zero in on what you are actually looking forward to see. So in the last 24 hours, there has been a total of 31 detections, which are currently new and which are of high and critical severity. Is it making sense? Next. So let's remove these filters. Now, when you have multiple filters chosen, there is a high probability that you will not be able to see something which is critical. So please restrict the total number of filters that you are using. So now we have severity filter I've removed. Last day filter I'm also removing. I'm removing this filter also. Then comes techniques. Now these are all techniques, and they are not only related to MITRE, they are also internal to CrowdStrike. So here you see all the techniques. You can see cloud-based MLs. So you will see that majority of the detections which are reported into the console, they are a result of cloud-based ML, which means these detections are not as a result of what you have configured as an admin. No, these detections are the capability of CrowdStrike, which is by default protecting your environment, all your endpoints. That is why it says cloud-based ML. So it is CrowdStrike who is generating the detection, not your policies and configurations which are detecting. Then comes malicious files, data encrypted impact, malicious activity, application layer protocol, all of these techniques you can see here. So if you have a specific uh, specific use case in mind, you probably want to see detection based on a specific technique. Whether it is present in your environment, you can come here and see it also. With the techniques part. In the production environment, you will see more techniques also, because here it only shows you techniques against which a detection is available in the console. So you don't see lateral movement here. Why? Because we do not have a detection that has lateral movement as a technique. I see a lot of indicators of attack because this is what we have configured, right? So we'll clear this techniques also. Then comes, so we have tactics. We have techniques also. We can see detections based on techniques and tactics and technique also. Okay. Then comes tag. Now we can also use tags. Based on tags, we can also see the detections. I've explained you the concept of tag while we covered the CCFA, wherein you can tag endpoints. Then comes custom IOA rule ID. Now we discussed about IOA also, indicators of attack, wherein we have configured specific processes, specific command lines, specific file path. We excluded it or we added an IOA indicator of attack rule against it. All of that we can search it from here also, because when you've created IOA, you've selected a rule ID for it. So against the rule ID, you can see a couple of detections also. So for example, if I select rule ID as number 2, I see a couple of detections against it also. Now this is what, so you can see here, any desk detections are there for Farhan, because Farhan has specifically added the file path of any desk under IOA, so that if there is any user who was able to install anydesk.exe on his or her endpoint by some means, and he or she is able to execute it, which is not getting blocked by indicator of compromise, because indicator of compromise is acting on the on right activity, which is when somebody tries to download executable of any .exe and try to install it, indicator of compromise protects it. But what if it is already there? Then no, then it will still run. So in order to make sure that any desk.exe is not, I'm saying, if you remember in CCFA, I talked about 4 areas. First is you do not want your users to browse a resource. If they are able to browse a resource, they should not be able to download it. If they are able to download it, they should not be able to install it. If they are able to install it, then they should not be able to execute it or use it. These were the 4 areas that I talked about against which you need to protect. So the first 3 areas can be protected using indicator of compromise. And the last area can be protected through indicator of attack. So this is where what Farhan has done. Farhan has created an IOA rule blocking any desk operations. So whenever user was trying to execute any desk, which is already installed in the endpoint, it was getting blocked. A detection was getting generated of high severity. So here you can see that custom IOA part also, when you are creating your own custom IOA rule. And custom IOA is created for what? It is created for file path. It is created for executable. It is created for a malicious process on the top of IOM, indicator of compromise. Okay, then comes hash. If you want to search for a specific hash, then you will also be able, so you don't need to copy and paste the hash. You already see those hashes here. These are all the hashes which are currently present across these 1097 detections which are there. So if you want to search detections across a specific hash, then you can directly select that hash. But then the question is, nobody can remember this entry. This is an alphanumeric number, and as we are all humans, we cannot remember this. So the right approach is to copy and paste a specific hash that you want to see the presence of in your endpoints or across your endpoints, and it will show you that specific hash. So you can see when it comes to hash-based detection, we have majority of the detections from this hash, 704 detections. So if I select this hash and hit apply, it will show me all the detections across this hash. Okay, now I see all the detections across this hash, and I was, and you can see I was confident of it that this is going to be that ransomware attack that we did. Because while you simulated that ransomware attack, you did not only simulate the ransomware, you actually added all of them. You selected all the adversaries. That is why majority of the detections which are there in the console, out of 704 detections are related to ransomware attack or related to that infection monkey simulation that we did. And they all have the same hash. The hash is corresponding to this executable, which is monkey-windows-64.exe. This is the executable corresponding hash is here, and against this hash we have these many detections. So this is how you are working as a investigation, as a search analyst, incident analyst, or SOC engineer, that you have certain use cases in mind. You want to see all the incidents which are of high severity, critical severity. You want to filter incidents based on certain application or file hash or certain IP address also. It's not only this, you can also filter it based on IP address. For example, I can directly pick up the IP address from here and filter it from the IP address also. Here's the IP address. So I'll pick up this IP address. Let's say I just imagine for a moment that this IP address has been flagged by your firewall team or network security team, and they've just informed you that this IP address belongs to a C2 server, command and control server. Now, since they are network security team, they can only block this IP address. But who will tell, who will verify whether this IP address, whether there is a corresponding activity of this IP address on the endpoints or not? That EDR team will do, endpoint security team will do. So you pick up the IP address from here, and then you can directly put this IP address in the search detections. Now it will filter all the detections related to this IP address. Okay, it is not filtering because you also have hash here. So you need to remove the hash, then it should be able to filter, right? Now you can see this IP address is present across these detections. We have a total of 64 results across this IP address. And since this IP address belongs to a host, you will see the host name is same, hunter testing, hunter testing, hunter testing, because this IP address was configured on this host. So that's how you can search for IP address, hash name, executable also, process name. There are multiple ways to filter detections. Okay, so we are done with hash. Similarly, host. We can also filter it using host also. So you can directly put that into the search detection part, or you can use this one of the filter, which is host-based filtering. So here I see all the host. So out of 1097 incidents, which are detections which are currently reported into the console, I have the bifurcation here. Majority of them are related to Manish Singh PC. This is the PC where majority of the detections are discovered. You can see here. This has majority of the detections. In other way, this tells me that probably this person is actively or sincerely practicing all of it. That is the reason all of these detections are there. So I can see majority of the detections related to Monkey Island. Okay, so this is related to host. Then I can also add, now these are not all the filters. There are some additional filters also. For example, add remove filters. I can also add additional filters here. So for example, these are the main filters which are there, which you see here. Let's say you want to search detections based on additional areas. Those additional areas are here. For example, I want to search for all the detections which are assigned to a specific team member. Because here you can manage the entire show. So I can click on assign to, kind of like this. Now I've added one more filter, which is assigned to. So I can search for detections based on assigned to also. So over here, you can see right now, since there are a total of 1,097 detections, out of which 2 are closed and rest of them are new. So they are not assigned to anybody. That's the reason it says unassigned 1097. But in a production environment, you will be able to assign them. For example, let's say I pick up one of the detection, this detection. This is the detection that I have. I can click on details view, and then I will click on edit status and change its status as in progress and assign to one of the team members. I assign it to Ankit Mishra. I put a comment. And update the status of this detection. So now I have one detection whose current status is in progress, and this detection is assigned to Ankit Mishra. If I go back to the detections tab, Now I can click on assign to. Now I will be able to see Ankit Mishra. I only see the person who is it assigned to. So similarly, in a production environment, you will have detections assigned to all the team members and you will see their name also. So as an admin, as a subject matter expert or senior most team member, you want to check how many detections are there, whether they are assigned to all the engineers, whether there are detections which are recently discovered, new detections are not assigned, whether there are detections with critical or high severity currently in progress, currently somebody is working on it. You can see all of it. You want to see the performance of a team member, how frequently Ankit is working or resolving detections. You can select the detections which are assigned to Ankit Mishra like this. Now it shows all the detections which is assigned to Ankit Mishra, and then you can also see the status over here. So you can see the status as in progress because for Ankit only one detection is assigned which is in progress. But if Ankit is part of detection engineering team and Ankit works on detections every day, Ankit has resolved hundreds of detections, Ankit has currently working on some detections, you will see additional options here, which is new, in progress, closed, and you can select how many of them Ankit has closed in the last 1 week. You can select the time frame here, which is last day, and then select the person and the detection type. So you can use a combination of these filters also to search to zero in your investigation, investigation activities. Okay, next, I'll clear all the filters. Then comes add remove. So you have additional filters, which is action taken, Active Directory domain. If you have multiple domains in your environment, you can filter detections based on domain also, based on adversary, based on architecture, based on automated leads. Now, all of these filters, some filters may not be relevant to this module because at the end of the day, whether it's cloud security module, whether it is identity security, whether it is SIEM and SOAR, whether it is prompt security, AI module, all of those modules, when they generate detections, those detections are shown here. So some of the filters may not be applicable to EDR. For those filters to work properly, you should have other modules configured. So you can see created time. There are additional information, for example, host ID, host first seen, IOC type, IOC name, MD5 value, hash value. You want to see detections across operating systems. So you can add this filter. And now you will be able to filter detections based on operating system. So I can select operating system, which are here. So let's say I want to see all the detections across Linux. So I'll select a specific Linux distribution or all Linux distribution and hit filter. Now I'll see all the detections across Linux distributions. Right? So these are additional filters that you can basically look into. Sensor version, site name, technique ID, triggered file, username. You want to see detections against a specific user. We can also see those detections. For example, let's say I want to see detections for a specific user. So you see the username here, administrator. So I'll select username. It automatically picks up the username. You don't need to manually type it. So you see all the usernames. You can see majority of the detections are for administrator user. Why it is for administrator? Because you're using cloud VMs, Azure, AWS VMs, and by default, AWS has username for an EC2 instance as administrator. So majority of the detections are corresponding to this user. Some participants are using Azure VM. So it shows Azure user, AVD admin, probably this is from Sujit, Ramesh. Then you see some user here. I'm saying this was my personal system, which I onboarded into CrowdStrike. So it picks up my email address because my system is logged in using my Microsoft account. So you see additional users also here. So this is about the filtering part. Now, filtering part is very important while you work as an incident responder because you will not always pick up the detection which is on the top. As an incident responder, you will be assigned certain responsibilities. You will have a specific role in the team. If you are somebody who is a senior most incident responder, you will probably focus more on specific tactics and techniques, specific detections of a severity which is critical and high severity, and you will focus more on detections which are which are probably open for a specific time frame and not resolved. This is what you will be doing, and that is where these filters will help you. If you don't know how to use these filters effectively, you will not be able to effectively deliver on your job role and responsibilities. This is the significance of these filters, which is very important that you need to understand. Then after these filters, what else we have? Aggregate detections. I've already explained what it means, that it will combine multiple detections of the same nature belonging to the same host, same process type, same file type, same IP address, or same severity or priority under one umbrella, so that you will be quick to combine them all. That's aggregate detection. Then comes group by. You can group detections by hash, host, the same filtering part. Then comes sort by. You can also sort these detections. So detection based on A to Z. I'm saying you can sort them alphabetical in the alphabetical order. You can sort them newest to oldest. These are all sorting that you can do. This is about the detection dashboard or all the options which are there. And then in the end, here you have columns option. These are all columns that you see. So severity, detection time, name, attribute, and then additional information. If you want to have additional columns added, if you want to have an existing column to be removed or moved it left and right, change the alignment of it, all you can do from here. So you can see right now we have severity, detect time, name, then attribute. These are the columns which are there. So we have an additional column which is related incident, which is not selected yet. You can select that column also, right? Or you can restore it to default. So I've selected this column also. Now I will see additional column which is related incident. These are all the columns which are there. If I want to restore it to the default, I can click on restore to default. These are the default columns that it shows in the detections tab. I can also manage attribute, which is nothing but the the templates where it takes me. Detection attribute template. So here you can define the template also, which we'll cover later on. So this was about detections tab, which shows you all the options or filtering options, sorting options which are available that will help you to visualize what is most important for you as a detection engineer, where you want to focus more and prioritize accordingly. At the bottom, we have items per page. You can see a maximum of 200 items or 200 rows per page. So always keep it as maximum so that you will be able to see majority of the information in one tab. And then depending on how many of them are there, for example, 200 we can see in one page, a total of 1000 is there. So we have approximately 6 pages here. So instead of going through all the 6 pages, I can probably use filtering here. I can filter for what I'm looking for. This is about detection dashboard. So I'll take a pause here and see if you have any questions. And this is where we will, close the session today also. Tomorrow, moving on. So we are currently doing module 1.2, module 2, which is detection engineering. So tomorrow, what we are going to do, as per the module, we'll pick up one detection and we will explore all the areas, all the information which is available in that detection that will help us as an incident responder to be able to investigate and identify the source of truth or the root cause of that detection and be able to remediate it as false positive or true positive and take real-time response actions if required. That's what we are going to do in the subsequent session. Any question from any participant? Soumya, Rakshak, Anurag?
Hi, Ravi.
Yes.
Can you please go through how you assign one of the detections to a participant?
Okay. Yeah. Right. So what you need to do, if you need to assign a detection to a specific team member, first of all, the team member must have a user role created for himself or herself, which basically means if you have a team member with the name, let's say Aman, and there is no account available, then you will not be able to assign it. For example, under host setup and management, under user management, the team member should be part of CrowdStrike console. Then you pick up any detection. I'm saying click on any detection, and over here in the action, you can click on details view. So it will show you the detail. I'm saying it will double click on it and it will show you the detections here. And then it says edit status. So right now, what is the status of this detection? The status is new. This is a new detection, and this detection has been created or has been discovered today, which is May 16th, 45 minutes past 10 in the morning, IST. Status is currently new. Here I can change the status, which is in progress, reopened, closed. So I'll say in progress. Then I can assign it to somebody. Now that somebody has to exist in the console. So these are all the users who are available. So I can assign, let's say, to this detection to this belongs to Pooja. Let assign this detection to Pooja herself.
So, Raghu sir, why is this option is not visible to me or
Which option?
this
This option.
assigned to?
Give me a minute. Charles, did this answer your question? How do we assign this? How do we assign a detection to a team member?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Now, who said that the person is not able to see this option?
I'm not also able to see the option. So
Heather?
Hi there, yes.
So you're not able to see this detection option, right?
No, I'm not able to see the assigned to option.
You're not able to see the assign to option. Okay. The reason you are not able to see this assign to option before I answer this question, can you tell me under host setup and management, are you able to see this module, which is Falcon user management module?
Let me check.
Please check.
No, Raghuveer, either me.
You're not able to see that module. That is the reason you're
No.
not able to assign it, because when I created the custom role as part of, I'd say as part of CCFR, when I created the custom role, I have actually deprecated the capability to see this Falcon user console. So since you do not have access to user management module, you do not have user management permission, that is the reason you are not able to assign it, which means you're not able to see who other users are there. But in the production environment, based on your role, if you are level 2, level 3 engineer, level 1 engineer, depending on how security team defines the capabilities, you will be able to perform this activity. Okay. So I will add that specific capability, and then you will be able to assign it to a person. I'm saying you will still not be able to manage the roles and permission of that user, but from incident responder perspective, you will be able to assign a specific detection to an engineer. Okay, other than assign to, I'm sure you are able to change the status of the detection. Are you able to
Yes,
do that?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, this is
So this
visible.
assign to is not working because you do not have that specific permission. You're able to add a tag to the detection also. Can you check? And you're able to provide a comment also. Only assign to will be faded.
Correct, correct.
Right. Now, why I have done it? Because you guys are going to work on your respective detections. So your detections are only visible to you and you are only going to resolve them. That is how the arrangement of this training is, so that you don't unnecessarily end up corrupting somebody else's configuration, detections, or the activity. That's the reason you're not able to see. But rest of the activities are available. Okay. Any other question from any participant?
Yes, Raghu.
Mhm.
Can we add the workflow? For example, if we get the high severity, it has to go high or critical. It has to go to example the L3 person. If I have a dedicated guy who always work on the critical assets, so can I create a workflow instead of coming and monitoring it? Can I create a workflow and assign it to him?
Okay. We can do that. That is part of SIEM engineering because workflow
Okay.
capability has now moved into SIEM. So as an incident responder, see, understand who you are. You are incident responder. Your job is to respond to incidents. And what you are asking is an engineering capability that there is an administration team, there is an engineering team who has created this workflow. So that is part of SIEM engineering. I will be covering workflows and automation there. In fact,
Okay.
you can have shallow AI to to perform the detection automatically because it has shallow AI capability. Imagine you're running an automated SOC operation. It's an AI enabled SOC. So what you can configure, as I said, if I can have access to prompt security module, by the time we are able to cover all other modules, I will show you automated SOC capability of CrowdStrike also, wherein right from detection to investigation to triage, remediation, and response, everything will be done by AI. And then I will also configure human in the loop capability, wherein AI will seek your acknowledgement, your permission before performing a critical operation. For example, before it network contain and host, it will come back to you and seek permission or acknowledgement from you because network containment is a crucial operation and we cannot
Mhm.
let AI to perform that activity, right?
Okay.
So we will do that part.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the other thing is, another engineering aspect is that most of the corporates, instead of managing the ITSM aspect, which is instead of doing incident management from security tool dashboard, they use a third party ITSM solution like ServiceNow, BMC Remedy, Jira. So what they do, they integrate CrowdStrike with ServiceNow. So what basically happens, as soon as a detection is generated in CrowdStrike, it automatically flows in ServiceNow as incident. And in ServiceNow, you have CMDB, you have all the team members' accounts created. Automatically in ServiceNow, you create a workflow where it gets assigned to a specific team member, where SLAs can be monitored. That all is available through integrations. So that part I will also talk about in SIEM engineering, because in SIEM engineering, you have integration concepts also. Okay. So over here, you see these connectors. These connectors will basically help you with the integrations part. Okay. So, and why we do it? The reason is that any organization would have multiple security solutions. They will have CrowdStrike as EDR, I would say a separate email security solution, a separate data leakage prevention solution, a separate encryption solution, a separate Siemens source solution, a separate network security solution. So what they want to do, they want to aggregate incidents or detections or alert from all the solutions, and they want to ingest into a centralized repository, centralized solution, centralized ITSM solution. This is also known as XDR, and this also says ServiceNow. So detections, alerts, incidents from multiple security solutions are flown into ServiceNow as incidents. So that is where integration comes into the picture. An assignment for all of you today. Please make sure that you have this ransomware simulation complete. Because if you only have any desk or if you have detections related to IOCs or IOA, you will not see all the capabilities. As part of CCFR, I will show you a lot of capabilities to look for, to investigate into, and that is possible from this ransomware simulation because it has all types of simulations, which is credential escalation, dictionary attack, brute force attack, PowerShell execution, lateral movement, ransomware simulation. All of that is possible through Monkey Island. So refer to the session recording of the previous session. You all have access to SharePoint. If you don't have access to SharePoint, drop a note in the WhatsApp group. addressing to Farhan. Farhan will provide you access to SharePoint. So please make sure that you refer to the recorded session, the previous recorded session, and complete this ransomware simulation today, so that tomorrow when we do the investigation, when we pick up a specific detection and start with investigation part, you will have all the configurations available to look into to investigate for.